Hi everyone, you're with Lucy from Lucy's Art Studio, and today I'm going to show you how to do a watercolour of these leaves. It is autumn here and I've just been for a walk with my little dog. Here he is. And I've picked up these leaves. These are the ones that he didn't chew up, so I would like to show you how to paint them. So this is the leaf, these are the leaves, and this is what we painted, and I hope you stick around and have a look. So please like my page if you enjoy. So I like to paint things that I've found on my wandering. I have a lovely little dog and I take him for walks, and when I take him for a walk, it's nice to pick up some things if he hasn't chewed them up and paint them later. So it's good relaxation, it's a good experience, and I really enjoy doing it. So it is autumn here, or fall in Australia, and we call it autumn. And I found these beautiful leaves on my wandering today, and I'm going to do a watercolour version of them. Now, for those of you who aren't really loving drawing, I am actually going to trace these leaves. So it's got a little bit of a zigzag edge, and I'm just going to do a tracing. You can draw them yourself or you can trace them, it doesn't really matter. I want this to be an exercise in relaxation for you. I don't want it to be an exercise in stress. So let's get this one drawn up. I think I'm going to put a little bit of the stem in. So I've basically got the little shape of the leaf, and I'm just going to look at how those lines work in there and put them in as well. So I'm going to overlap these leaves. So this one here, I'm going to probably just overlap it, or maybe this way, so they go across the page. So they have a little zigzaggy edge. I will paint that a little bit in. One's going to go underneath the other one, and this bit's going to go over the top. So they've all fallen, and this is the shape they're in. Beautiful colours. This is one of my favourite colours, this russet red colour. And I love the yellow and all the others, even a little bit of green in there. And what this does is it helps our brains assess colour and where we see colour. So I'm just going to put that a little bit harder there, and I'll rub that little line out in a moment. Now this one's a little bit curly, but I think I might just put it here. So like I said, you can draw it if you like, but if you want it to be easy, I love to do gum leaves, and I'll put a couple of pictures at the end of this video of some gum leaves that I've painted as well. So it's nice to actually go a bit back to nature and draw things that bring us a bit of joy on a walk. Okay, so I have my leaves on there. I know this is the green one, this is the red one, this is the yellowy gold one, and I've got my Schmincke watercolours right here, which I'm going to kind of put there. Maybe I'll just move this way a little way so you can see what I'm doing. But I always prepare my colours before I start painting, and I'm going to do a light wash first. Now, I had these lovely brushes sent to me by Fuumuui, F-W-M-U-I, and they are lovely travel brushes. So I'm going to use these today. I am a lover of travel brushes, by the way. I just love to have brushes that I can take with me. This has got 3 sizes and it's super easy to put in your bag and you can just get going. So the first one I'm going to do is the green. So when I look at this green, there's bits of brown in that green. So I'm just going to put a little bit of green down first. Now, that's not a great green, so I'll put a little bit of this green in it too. So what I'm doing is, but I can just sort of put my leaf here and go, how close to that colour am I going to get? It's not incredibly bright, so I'm just going to put a little bit of burnt sienna. Oh, sorry, burnt sienna. That is the word, in there, just to make it a little bit dirtier. So I'm kind of mixing the colour in my palette. I'm kind of happy with that. I am going to prepare a little bit of the brown as well, because I feel it has a little bit of this reddy brown around the outside. Okay, how about I put the water on this side, then I don't have to cross over all the time. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is wet this leaf. And I'm going to change to a bigger brush because I really am a lover of bigger brushes. I hate painting with tiny little brushes. So what I'm doing is I'm wetting my paper. Now this will not be the only layer of this leaf, so I want to make sure that I don't go too dark with this layer. This will be the lightest layer. So you just want to get a nice lot of water. Now, the important things when you're putting water down like this is that we don't end up with a puddle. So make sure you just have the right amount of water. And I'll just show you, I don't know if you can see that. See how if I do that, I'm not getting a pool. Okay, that's better. See how you can just see it's nice and glossy and wet, but it's not a pool. That's the right amount. If it's more matte than that, it probably isn't wet enough. So then I can take my green and just drop the green in. Going around. You can see that I'm not doing a lot of brushing. Can I say these brushes are quite lovely though? So I'm not doing a lot of brushing. And sorry, this has gone out of focus. Okay. So I've just got the green down. That's just the base colour, but because I know there's some dark ends, I'm just going to drop, and this time I'm using a much drier brush when I pick this paint up. I'm just putting a little bit of this red colour around the edge of my leaf where I see there's a bit of brown. And I can see here there's a little mark here that's very much that colour. So just going around, I also see that there's some quite dark brown. So I'm just going to take a bit of dark brown and put a little bit of that on the tip. So this is while it's all still wet, and it's not the final detail. It's just giving me a little bit of shape to start off with. And I can see there's quite a bit of brown on this side of the leaf here, mixed with a bit of red. So what this does for you is it makes you actually really look at the leaf and makes you sort of take note of the colours and where the colours are. So we will let that dry for a second, but we don't have to stop because we have this leaf and that's not touching that one. So this one is much more a goldy kind of yellow colour. It's a little bit, I suppose, yellow ochre, but I'm going to throw a little bit of yellow in there as well because I want it to be quite bright. It also has kind of a red colour to it. So I can see like a red colour, so I'm mixing the red colour. So again, it's all about having a look. And what can you actually see here? It's got a bit of this burnt sienna in it as well. So, probably a bit of that dark brown as well. So again, I'm going to wet this whole leaf. These are quite lovely brushes to use for this purpose. So I'm just wetting the leaf. Then I'm taking my yellow, and I can see it's all yellow down this side. So dropping it in, kind of letting it bleed a little bit. I don't steer my paint too much. When I get to here, I can see that the leaf is getting darker. So I'm going to take some of this red. Now I'm going to go over with a much darker colour later, but I want to have that red undertone as that russet, the leaf turns a russet colour. So I'm just putting that where I see it. Comes down a little bit like this. And hey, it doesn't need to be perfect. What you're kind of doing is, I suppose it's a study. Put a little bit down there. And then I'm just going to take a bit of the brown and so this is a dark brown. And I can see that there's it's almost burnt looking here. So I'm just putting a bit of that in. And that lovely thin. So I've got that colour. And then the last one is this beautiful red one. So this one, to me, oops, let's not try to make a mess of that. So this one I think is a combination, and this is about you playing with colour. I think this one has some yellow undertones. So this one's going to be very much different. So if you look at this one closely, it has a very yellow undertone. So the first thing I'm going to do is wet it. You will hear that I have lots of cockatoos outside destroying my trees. That's what that horrible noise is, if anyone's wondering. They're actually a bit of a menace at the moment. Okay, so you can see here I'm just going through, and what I'm doing is giving this yellow undertone. So if I just went straight in and painted this red, I would never get the depth of colour that I'm getting by putting this yellow underneath. So layering colour can really give us a sense of shape and I suppose a feeling of what it is we're doing. Okay, now I'm seeing a lot of this sort of burnt sienna colour, and I'm putting it over the yellow, kind of seeing it down the middles. But then as I go to the tops of the leaves, I'm really seeing this red colour. So it's kind of changed from burnt sienna to a russety red colour. Now again, like I said, this is only the undercoat, so if it's not perfect, Don't panic. Oh, lost the point on that leaf. Okay, so that's the first layer on both of these, or all three of these. And you can see as they start to dry, they're a little bit not as brilliant as they were before I put the colour on. So let's have a look back at the green one. So firstly, I want to take a heap of green. Now if you look at this green that I've done here, this is a lolly green. It's a great green maybe for pine trees, but not probably for this thing. So I'm going to take a little bit of that burnt sienna and mix it in there. So the burnt sienna is kind of the opposite on the colour wheel. So what that does is it gives it a much more it neutralizes the color, and that's what we're trying to do here, neutralize the color. Now I'm going to slightly wet it again. Now if your paint is dry, you can wet straight back over the top of it. However, if it is not dry, which is slightly not dry, it will leave marks, but we're not minding because these are leaves. And I'm taking this green, and now I'm going to darken. I've hardly got any water on my brush except for the paint. And I'm just making sure, I'm kind of wanting to leave a little bit of light at the end. Now I'm not covering everything, and I'm not trying to be absolutely perfect. I think you can make the mistake of trying to be so perfect. I want to give an impression of these leaves that I found, and you can see they're even bleeding together. Okay, now I can see little dots of this red colour, a little bit with a bit of brown in it, and I can see at the end of the leaves, the tips of the leaves, I can see little kind of dots. So what you're doing is just emulating what you're seeing, right? So I can see little dots all through here. And I can see some of them are a little bit darker, they're not so ready, they're actually brown, so I'm going to do some little brown ones too. And the tips of this, especially this one here, the tip's quite brown. And I'm going to put that stem in too. You can see how it kind of starts to take on. Now, what the nice thing about it is that because we've put that undercolour, it kind of shows through, and I'm just putting some little veins, but very thinly. And then I can see there's a lot of colour here. So I'm just going to pick up a lot of colour. And I'm exaggerating some of the detail. So I'm pretty happy with that one. You know, it's giving me that feeling. I think that little bit of green there is good. I'm just going to put a little dot of dark down here to give it a sense of the beginning of the leaf. Okay, so you can see there, hold it up a little, you've got a real sense of shape to it. Now we're going to go back to this one here. Oops. Yep, this one here. Nope. And this one here, although I'm not really happy that my Naples yellow or yellow ochre is so opaque in these paints, so I'm just going to add a bit of yellow to it as well. And then my red, this time I can see the red has a bit of black in it, but you could use I'm going to use a bit of indigo in it, just to make it a little bit more burnt looking, okay? So again, I'm going to wet my leaf. So don't scrub it too hard, just wet. That's why it's good to do, say, 3 leaves together, because you know that you can work on one and then go and work on the other. Now I can see that the stem is absolutely dark red, and the ends of these leaves tips are so dark. And you can see, instead of brushing, I'm actually just dropping colour down and letting it bleed itself. So I'm not brushing the skin, the surface off the leaf. I'm just dropping the colour in. Now I can see a bit of sort of a grey colour in there. I'm just dropping a bit of that in as well. And now I'm going to just go over this yellow and just make it a bit brighter. I can see this really intense yellow through here, so I'm making sure I'm making that a little bit more intense. There's some dots. These might be a little bit too big, but hey, doesn't matter. Now I will do a little bit more to this one when it's dry to put those veins in, but I don't want to put too much in it right now, because I know that if I put too much in, it'll just all bleed because it's quite wet. Oh, I'm just going to take a little bit of black, because the ends of these are really nice and dark. So you can see there how the black just adds a bit of depth. Okay, so this leaf has some little dark lines in it. They're kind of a bit of red with a bit of brown. So I'm just going to take them now. I'm being very careful to keep them super thin. Probably should have gone to a smaller brush. And you can see here I'm not doing a solid line. I'm just doing a bit of a broken line. Just the tip of my brush. That's probably more thick than I would like to go, but I think it's okay. Now this one here has definitely more red on it, so I'm just going to put it a little bit more red. This time I'm not wetting it, just going to put a bit more red down just around the edges and kind of letting it bleed with a bit of water. I just want a little bit more intensity and a bit more yellow just here. Probably use a bit of bright yellow. Sometimes you've got to do a couple of coats to get the intensity of these colours. I'll just dry this off. So now I'm going to do a nice dry brush so I don't get any bleeding. I'm going to do a bit of black and a bit of red, and I'm going to do these very thin veins in the leaf. Like I said, do it as a broken line if you have to. Don't try to do it perfect. You can see it's a little bit darker there. So I'm pretty happy. As a quick study that I've done with these leaves, I'm pretty happy. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of, this is neutral tint or indigo. I think, actually no, this one's indigo. And I'm going to just do some shadows. So I'm going to think that the light is coming from here. And I'm just going to do a shadow. And you don't have to do the shadow. I kind of just like a bit of shape. So I've got a bit of a shadow, and I'm also going to just cover, I'm just going to use my leaves, cover them up like that. Pretty good, aren't they? They actually don't look too different. And do a bit of a splatter of the colours that I have used. And you can see here, not too bad, right? Little bit more vein in this green one, I think. So little tiny bit more vein. And I think that that's done. So I'm going to put my leaves over here. Let's put them like that so you can still see them. Actually move this one down here. That one's like that. That one's like that. And this one's kind of like that. I don't think we've done a bad job at all. So if you like this, please like my page and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be doing lots more videos. I'm back on board, and you're with Lucy from Lucy's Art Studio. I had to think about that for a moment. So please, if you like my videos, subscribe, and I will be doing more. So this is Watercolours with Lucy. Bye.